So just as an introduction for the panel, we've heard a lot about fashion and technology and wearable tech products and how the consumer should be educated. But also, this panel will look at where these products should be retailed, because price and distribution have been challenges for mass adoption of fashion tech products. Purely because when people try to find these products online, they don't really know where to search, and they have to really dive in to find something that they really like and really need and want to buy. And if these products are retailed in physical stores, then the price increases significantly. So this session is going to discuss and hopefully inspire you and give you some insights around retail strategies for fashion tech products, merging online and offline. So we've got another great panel here today, and these are Sabrina Faramarzi, a trend researcher from Portland Design, Saverio Romeo, principal analyst at Beecham Research, Jennytha Raj, founder and CEO of Teqtique, and last but not least, Miranda Davis, creative producer from Mimira. So could you guys just start by quickly introducing yourselves and what you do? Just push it.
Hi everyone, I'm Sabrina and I work on the research team at retail design agency Portland Design. And we do a lot of real kind of bricks and mortar stuff, but also sometimes some e-commerce. But what we think and hope sets us apart is really about a real insight-fueled design process. And my job really is to always put the consumer research first before any of the designers kind of run away with any fantastic ideas.
Hi, I'm Jen. I am the founder and CEO of Teqtique, which is a curated online boutique that sells luxury tech-forward fashion to women. So that's everything from hardware like headphones and speakers to scarves that have been made through innovative technological processes, plus your new wave of fashion tech, so wearables and smart textiles, both of which will soon come to the website, as well as complementary products, so things like bags and sleeves and phone cases.
So my name is Saverio Romeo. I'm principal analyst at Beecham Research. We do, so I go back. My name is Saverio Romeo, principal analyst at Beecham Research. We do technology market research in the Internet of Things and the impact on different sectors, including retail. To make it short, is all about connected devices, wearable devices, data analytics suite, back-end software, front-end software stuff was in the previous presentation and so on. So on the retail side, the idea is to understand how the Internet of Things change or will change the face of retailing in terms of stores, online, and so on.
Hi, I'm Miranda Davis. I'm a creative producer. I have a consultancy, and I work across all media. And I generally tend to just output a new thing, whatever the solution might be. So it might be probably something to do with innovation, creativity, and tech or enterprise. And earlier this year for House of Fraser, I created with a team an interactive LED dress for the TV BAFTAs for House of Fraser. So that's a retail example.
And we're going to talk about that and also showcase the dress at the runway show later on. So please stay because it's so beautiful. Saverio, I want to start with you because you mentioned that you do research in how technology is changing retail, and according to a recent report by Vista Shopper, 70% of shoppers expect that wearables will be the future of the shopping experience. Not only that doesn't really refer to their expectations of going to a store and finding wearables, but more about how wearables will enhance the shopping experience. And I know you've been looking into that sector through Beecham. Can you share some findings with us?
So, to be honest, we are talking about trial prototyping activities in certain type of retailers which you could define sort of cutting edge or pioneer in retail, using wearable devices for primarily engaging with customers. And some results are interesting, some others a bit less. An example which is quite common at the moment, everyone talking about, is the launch of Virgin Atlantic in Heathrow terminal, in which Google Glasses is used in order to provide real-time information to the customers. Similar activity is done, for example, in the hospitality sector, where again, combination of tablets and Google Glasses, or sometimes tablets and some watches are used for customer engagement. Then there is the next step, which is using Google Glasses using smart glasses in association with augmented reality solutions, so maybe VR if we look a bit further the line. So you think of the Oculus Rift if you want, in order to enable the customer to select certain type of items, combination of certain type of items, and see this combination of certain type of items in virtual reality. But for what I know, these are really prototyping trial examples. It's at the moment, if you want to talk about commercial deployments, stuff that, in a nutshell, the retail pay for it, we are really talking about customer engagement applications. The things you are talking about, the things we read about, is in a trial phase. And there are a number of concerns that needs to be addressed. I'm not going to take all the hour around that, but there are a number of concerns, technology concerns, and not all. There needs to be addressed around that.
And do you see the evolution in technology changing consumption? Do you see people buying more stuff because it's just so easy and it's a click away, or do you see them just being more conscious of their choices?
But I assume that with the flow of data each consumer has in the various moments of the retailing experience, I assume that the consumer is more informed. But I also assume that the same amount of data the consumer has, also the retailers has. And also the retailer now is able to use certain cutting-edge data analytics tool. Before they were talking about predictive analytics, which enable a much more refined understanding of the consumption behavior of the individual. Therefore, the ability of design, marketing, advertising strategies that are much more refined, much more targeted. So the use of data and the data analytics is should make informed the consumer, and I think it does. But at the same time, as a consumer, we should also be aware that the retailers, they use this data in a very powerful way. You know, all the voucher offer that you receive in a number of ways are the results of data analytics tools.
Okay, then moving now to Fashiontech. So having in mind the technological evolution and the fact that we're now more informed than ever, but also combining that with fashion technology, which is such an emerging industry, I want to ask the panel, what do you see the differences are between retailing fashion tech products online and in physical spaces? And do you favor one or the other, and why?
Yeah. I think for any retail channel, it's got to really be about the product first and what is the kind of hero element of the product. And one of the things we do in my team, much to the eye rolling of all of them, but is very much about modes, motives, and moments. So how does the consumer tap into all of these things? And actually, me and Jennytha were talking earlier about the Friends headphones. So, as a hypothetical example, I want a pair of Friends headphones, and I have a very long commute into work. It's about an hour and a half. I promise this monologue won't be as long. But I really like the Friends headphones. So on this commute, it's probably one of the most relaxing moments of my day. And so I have an hour and a half, and my moment in that zone is to really relax and zone me out. So my moment that I'm asking for is a zone out moment. My mode that I'm in is a relaxed mode, but actually my motive for buying those headphones is that, one, they're beautiful, two, they have kind of sound blocking capabilities, and for those kind of things, so again, going back to the motive, I'm not a fan of in-ear headphones. I also think that Beats by Dre are quite garish. So for me, I'm looking at lots of different types of headphones. So actually being in a mono-brand experience wouldn't be that great for me. So I'm looking at a multi-brand experience. So I'm going to compare and contrast different types of headphones. But I'm also quite busy, and I don't have time to go to a bricks and mortar store. So actually the best retail channel for that is an online multi-brand experience. So I really think it's got to go down to the initial product. And again, going back to the consumer, what mode will they be in when they're using your product? What are their various different motives? And what moment are you trying to capture with them, or what moment do they want to capture from the product? So I think it really, really depends. And it's, again, going back to the idea of research, you have to research how your product's going to be used to really capitalize on the best retail channel for that.
Go, you go.
Just to follow on from that, I think with Fashiontech specifically, because it's quite a new thing, I guess, being online, and that's the reason why I put Teqtique online first before brick and mortar, even doing a pop-up, is all about accessibility, and online as a platform allows that global accessibility to, especially because a lot of the brands are quite new, they're just creating products now. What they don't want is to be kind of stuck in one sort of area. What they need is a global presence. So I think online is definitely the best place to do that.
I think it's really interesting where you've got something to do with moments and the future of how we shop and why we shop. You know, what is the future of retail? And how do we differentiate between what's good and what's bad online, let's say? So Teqtique's an awesome place because you've kind of done the work for people, potentially. But if you're looking at moments, I think it's about a conscious and sensory engagement. So an audience stroke, a shopper, consumer, whoever we are, you know, we're choosing the story that we want to buy into. So if it's a luxury item, if we have an experience that feels luxury, you know, whether that's a future tech solution in store or it's an online solution that echoes a feeling of what you might get when you receive the product, then I think this is a really interesting space. And I think it's also something I was exploring with our dress, which was, you know, it was an interactive solution for a huge retail brand in person as a mobile object that responded to consumer or audience feedback mechanisms, but was also, you know, where do you then take that experience and the growth of the sector into a really beautifully curated and also, as I just said, like a connective platform where you feel like there's a meaning to buying this thing. I think that's important to consider.
And if we look at retailers, what is the general perception of retailers having fashion tech products in store? Does that give them an edge over the competition as something more innovative that they're offering, or do they see that as just lending space without making the volume sales that they might have done with another just a normal fashion item?
I'm just going to pick that one up quickly. I think for House of Fraser, the reason we made the dress was for a spectacle piece to get a lot of engagement about something they were doing that was new. So they're saying very clearly, we're interested in entering into a new format for retail. And because they're a huge department store, you've got loads of options. The big question is, how do you transfer products you want to buy in store that are experience-led or meaningfully led or connectivity-based that really measure up to maybe what you've seen as a piece of hype or spectacle. But I definitely think there's loads of, the future of retail is that we're going to spend time looking for new ways to buy things, and maybe that's where retail has an opportunity to do something different.
Sorry, you'll have to remind me of the question.
Okay. So do you think retailers see the chance of having Fashiontech products as giving them an edge over the competition, or is that just a way of lending space without necessarily making the volume sales if they would, retail just a normal fashion brand?
Definitely. I think it, again, going back to the idea of spectacle, it gives an edge over the kind of experience that you'll have in store. But consumers aren't stupid. We're very informed about different types of products and whether that fits into the brand DNA. If it doesn't fit into your brand DNA and you're showcasing a piece of wearable tech, it's going to feel a little bit off, and I think people will pick up on that. But if you do it in a sensitive way that's considered and it really kind of supports your brand as a whole and it fits into the lifestyle that you're trying to sell as a brand, then absolutely.
Can I add the comment? I think we are in a very prototyping era in terms of way of retailing fashion tech products or wearable tech. Then here we need to agree on definitions, really. I have mine, come from a tech background, probably you have different ones. But I see certain retailers using the wearable devices or fashion tech products more as a moment of experimenting or testing also the consumers on what actually they feel and they believe about this sort of products. Because here we are talking about no one has really faced the issue of scalability in terms of products in this industry. And I don't think it's a massive problem, but no one has really put the effort in doing that, because it's no clear the business model, because it's no clear the retail model of these products. You see interesting ideas around transforming the store in an experience lab, if you want, and merging this experience with online activities. That one probably is an interesting response. Or you can see the retailer becomes a sort of tech incubators at the same time of being a store. But all ideas, they need to be proved. Anyway, from a commercial perspective, I think.
Yeah, I'm just going to tap onto the end. Just for example, I think House of Fraser, they're opening 2 new stores in China. So the Chinese population may want to buy fashion in a new format, Yeah. So I think that may be driving, and the House of Fraser have just been bought by a huge Chinese company. So maybe that's part of the reason why they're starting to explore in this unusual format, because I think there's new ways to stand out, which it's definitely about products that actually do something for you, and it's about the next gen of fashion where it's not necessarily a gimmick, it's actually really useful in your life. And I think, we're really early days and we're definitely prototyping, but there's loads of opportunity to go to scale. It's just about getting the innovation down. Yeah.
Allow me to be a bit more critical too. There needs to be also the will of scaling.
I agree, yes.
Of using existing technology in order to scale. Yeah. And I don't see that will yet.
No, but I'm really interested in it. So there you go. There's one.
Okay, Miranda, you collaborated with Sieper and House of Fraser to create the beautiful dress for Donna Air, which she wore at the BAFTA Awards. Can you tell us more about how that collaboration happened and what was it like to work with such a big retailer for a piece like that?
It was really, it's actually quite an exceptional moment for me, really, actually, because, Because I'm a creative producer and I was approached by an agency who work with House of Fraser, and I was given a lot of freedom to come back with a solution that would help them meet their brief, right? So then it was great because I got to work with SEPA. I chose SEPA because they're extraordinarily talented in terms of anything you want to do in terms of innovation and visual or tech or light or sound or a new surface or a sensitive space. They're really great. I also got to handpick a dress designer, Rebecca Street, who's Alexander McQueen's ex-pattern cutter for 5 years, who also designs wedding dresses. Now, being able to put these truly creative people into a workshop experience and say, this hasn't been done before, this is the idea, and we've got this huge retail client to deliver to, and we've got, a couple of months to do it in. House of Fraser are amazing because they gave us so much space. We were just like, you just got to let us get on with it, and everyone was fine about that, actually. And the most exciting thing I think for all of us was that we got to physically work with each other. I was hands-on. I wasn't just Miss Strategy, you should do that, and here's a team. We all got to work together to mould and shape the dress, and we wanted to move beyond the idea of a screen. We wanted to go sculptural. We wanted to make it magnetic for the human. We wanted it to be something that felt emotional. And I think that was what was really driving us. And I think we've done something new, which is exciting.
Awesome. And it was obviously a very unique experience in a way to create a buzz around what House of Fraser were doing, because they were a sponsor of the BAFTA, right?
Yeah, they were the main sponsor. So
yeah.
They really wanted to celebrate the fact that they were sponsoring the BAFTAs, which obviously is all about glitz and glamour and someone winning something and all these well-known faces of television and the red carpet experience. So you already had in that, the output had to be super glamorous. It had to fit in with the idea of what House of Fraser sell, which is mid-range, lovely ball gowns that are affordable. And this is all about, a popular, the popular mass, essentially, being able to get involved with a red carpet experience.
Do you see that sort of innovation being done more often as opposed to just one-off experiences or experiments from the retailer's side? And if so, when?
Yeah, who knows when? Probably quite a lot, quite soon. But yes, I do think the thirst will be there because we got 850,000 hits on Google in 3 days. Donna Ed, LED, best dressed, worst dressed. Daily Mail loved us and whatever. Everyone talked about it. We were then on Lorraine's show in the morning. That's 1 million viewers at prime time, breakfast time. And everyone was really excited because it was so different. And you'll see the dress later if you're here, but it makes you feel something. And I think that's where we've been most excited, because you're bringing to life a spectacle moment that hopefully then we'll be able to get to the FMCG stage, which is FMCG stage, which is something that you can have that's desirable, that's you can tap into, this make it possible for the masses to consume and be part of things, rather than it being hyper couture.
Great. And Jen, you recently launched Teqtique, which is an online platform focused on selling luxury lifestyle tech products for women, and we've been following each other since we both launched. So, yeah, and you've grown quite a lot. So, can you share some insights and customer feedback and what people were interested in? What sort of products? How do they find the experience of shopping those products online?
So the whole concept is pretty new, the whole Fashiontech. So what I've actually been trying to do is make it slightly more commercial to appeal to the average consumer. So not necessarily someone who's, following tech or following the emergence of tech and fashion. So to be honest, what I found is more of the accessories do well. That said, I haven't actually got wearables on the website just yet. And again, it's more moving with the market because it is a pretty new market. A lot of wearables nowadays are pretty much they're either established and competing with everything out there, or they're already starting the second generation, or they're, you know, just on pre-order. So it's a bit difficult to kind of gauge the response on that just yet. But so far, I mean, the feedback has been great, and I try to make the site not too techy. So as I said, like, it appeals to everyone. So I guess phone cases and headphones and standard tech like that tends to do really well. But what I started doing recently is, I mean, Sabrina and I were just talking about this earlier, but kind of explaining more of the tech aspects and how it kind of seamlessly would fit into your everyday life. And we started doing that on the blog. So little things like explaining, headphones when they come and they've got all the small text, like the drivers are, 60 mm or whatever. To the average person, they may not understand what that is. So what we're trying to do is basically explain how that would benefit the average person and how or why you would opt for this headphone maybe over a Beats headphone. We've been kind of slamming Beats a lot, but and so that's what I'm trying to do, basically show how the products will integrate into an everyday life, so making it very commercial.
And do you see Fashiontech products being retailed in like an electronic sector, like an electronic section, either in the retail store or online, or a fashion sector, fashion section in the retail store or online, or do they have to have their own kind of sector?
To be honest, I think that depends on the retailer. So take ASOS, for example. For the longest time, Friends was actually on the website, but they didn't do so well on sales in that space because Friends was actually listed in the men's tech section, if they even have a men's section. I think it was just men's accessories, which is, I thought, really interesting. And then again, it depends on the retail and brand. So you've got websites that exist that only sell phone cases, but they maybe only specifically focus on the product, so they're not trying to create a brand or a lifestyle around it. So they would, not have a blog, they may not have a huge social media presence, or they may just be on Instagram. So I think it really depends on the brand or the retailer itself and what they're trying to convey and what their message is and who their customer is.
Something really new. So I want to ask the panel about your thoughts. I don't know if you heard this, but Best Buy, the world's largest electronic retailer, has decided to roll out sales of the Apple Watch as of tomorrow in 900 of its stores. So that's tomorrow, and then in all of its stores by the end of September. And it's quite interesting to see the Apple Watch, who, when they first launched it, they positioned it as a Fashiontech luxury item, and they had like spreads in Vogue and whatnot, and celebrities wearing it, and now being displayed in Best Buy. Do you see people who are interested in fashion and luxury queuing at Best Buy?
No, again, I guess that depends on the retailer. If they're going for fashion, then probably. But if they're more of an electronic website, probably not. I mean, I'd be interested to know how many people, buy their technology at, like, what is that, Argos or Comet, or does Comet exist? I don't even know. One of those stores, or do you just, I guess, buy on Amazon? I'd be interested to know what people think of that.
Is it not kind of making the Apple Watch a bit like buying an iron? The trickle down to popular mass consumption, which means actually everyone can have one and everyone can start connecting to each other. So then we get a whole new place to play. So I suppose, it's always that thing where you have this ideal in vogue, and then it's awesome when anyone can buy it in Argos or Best Buy.
But it's also fair to say that the Apple Watch has a number of series. So there is the luxury one and then going down. So I don't know what they are going to sell on Best Buy. Probably they are not going to sell the $6,000 one for obvious reasons. So I also think that this is a bit of a response to a performance that was not great as expected, probably, from the Apple Watch side.
Yeah, they may have just made a whole bunch of them and couldn't sell them off.
I don't think so. There was an issue actually by a manufacturing issue, talking about scalability. That basically at the beginning seems that there was a problem in responding to the demand. But then I think Apple was forecasting 4.5 million Apple Watch by the end of this year. They are quite far away from that. So a company as watch as the equivalent in cash of I think is the 19 country in the world in terms of GDP. So I don't know if even my previous comment is fair. They do not have really an issue of cash, but it's probably an issue of pushing the product and a new set of product towards a set of consumers that is a certain level of purchasing power.
Oh, it's the second biggest vendor of wearable devices now after Fitbit, so it must be doing well.
Also, we have to say that we are not talking about billions of devices sold. The wearable device market is pretty, I don't want to say modest, but a bit more than modest in comparison to others.
Maybe it's going to be used in relation to sports and fitness. Your Apple Watch. I don't know what else it can do, but timing things.
Just as a quick note on that, I think it feels kind of against their brand as well to do something like that, because when you go and you're looking to buy an iron, let's be honest, we do spend a little bit of time in there comparing all the irons and all the kind of specific details of that. Whereas what Apple do really well is that you can buy your iPhone or your Apple Watch or whatever and literally take it out of the packet and start using it. So buying really somewhere like that at, I don't know, a Comet or a Currys or Best Buy or whatever, it kind of just goes against the entire reason why you'd walk in.
It's a really fancy way to boil an egg.
Yeah.
I don't know, can I dispute that? I mean, if you look at the market share of smartphones sold, the market share of Apple is going down, it's not going up. And is going down in the last 3 years because of new players coming from China, primarily like Xiaomi and Huawei. So probably Apple has to raise a question mark in market terms about their performance. Now, I'm talking really from a market perspective here. So I don't know. I'm not terribly surprised.